on in, come on in. Let's go ahead and get day 2 of our pressure purge challenge started, where we're going to be continuing to break down those foods that are contributing to our blood pressure issues, understand how to remove them from our diet, and make the necessary substitutions so we can continue down the pathway of correcting our blood pressure issues. So come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. So as with all our last sessions, we get started by pulling out our ebook. That way, if you that way you can follow along as I read through the different guidelines that we have. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them inside of the chat. And we're just going to continue to push through with understanding these different foods, how they impact our blood pressure, our overall health, and what we can do to make the necessary adjustments. So right now, I'm going to pull up my ebook and pretty much give you guys a quick overview of what we talked about yesterday, and then move into our topic for today. So yesterday we broke down all of the foods that we should be removing from our diet, and we started off with going deeper into understanding salt. Salt is one of those foods that when it comes down to blood pressure, most people understand it can have a direct impact on your blood pressure. So we went through the ins and outs of the different channels of understanding salt, how it impacts your blood pressure, and the different tactics and strategies you can use to remove it from your diet to help you in this particular area. Because one thing about excessive amounts of sodium is that it does have a direct impact on your blood pressure. And in order for many people, when they correct this imbalance within themselves, this can really help them when it comes down to correcting their blood pressure. I've seen many people eliminate the need for blood pressure medications by simply correcting this sodium-potassium pathway. So we broke that down yesterday, and hopefully everyone got a good understanding about how important it is to eliminate this salt from their diet as they progress along the journey. Because one thing about it, although salt plays a big role for many people, it's not the only contributing factor. So we're going to dive into these other food items that also can contribute to your blood pressure. And today we're going to be talking about oils and fats, and everything that falls inside of that category. Salt and these other items typically get all of the attention, but oils is one thing that I feel is very, very important, especially if you're dealing with blood pressure issues. Oils is something that you really should take a step back from, understand the impact that it can have on your blood pressure. That way you can start making the necessary adjustments to move forward. So I have my ebook right here in front of me on my computer, and I'm going to get started with oils and reading through the ebook and breaking it down for you guys. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it inside of the chat. That way, when we get to that section, I could just continue to tie them all in for you guys as well. All right, so we're gonna keep going. This is my pomegranate juice as well, so pomegranate. All right, so here we go. Chapter 4. We're gonna be talking about understanding oils. And I'm reading right from the ebook. So if you guys have the ebook and you have a second device, you could pull it up as well, and you can read along and kind of put things together as you move through it. So in this chapter, we will dive into the detrimental effects of free oils and the consumption of heated fats. It is crucial to comprehend the risks associated with these fats in order to make informed decisions about our dietary habits. Here we go, free oils. The definition and the types. We're going to break all these different things down. That way you can understand what all falls in these different categories. Free oils encompasses fats and oils that are extracted from natural food sources such as peanut oils and lard. These oils can be derived from vegetables, animals, or chemicals, and while some can directly harm the body, others provide minimum nutritional value. Number 1 is going to be vegetable oils. Commonly used vegetable oils like corn oil, olive oil, safflower oil lack essential proteins, carbohydrates, and minerals. They possess an imbalance in nutritional content, mainly supplying oils without substantial nutrients. These oils are often subjected to treatments involving pesticides and preservatives, leading to oxidation and rancidity. Animal oils. Animal oils include lard and butter, contain high levels of fat. The extraction process involving superheating makes them highly susceptible to rapid rancidity. Moreover, animal fats tend to accumulate environmental toxins, which can contribute to cardiovascular issues. Next up is going to be chemical oils. Chemical oils, which are derived from synthetic food industries and petroleum byproducts, are relatively recent additions to our diets. Food found in products like artificial butter and coffee creams, these oils provide no nutritional value and may have unforeseen long-term health consequences. Fats in cooking and cooking with heated fats. Foods cooked with fats such as French fries, potato chips, donuts often involve the use of heated fats. When fats and oils are heated to high temperatures during cooking, they become carcinogenic and toxic to healthy cells. Consuming food prepared with heated fats can have detrimental effects on our bodies. Digestive challenges and eliminations. Heated fats lose their ability to be effectively emulsified and digested. They become indigestible and must be eliminated by the body. However, the body struggles to break down and expel these overheated fats, potentially resulting in their storage in the body or the formation of tumors. Loss of nutritional value. Fats heated to high temperatures lose their nutritional value, including essential vitamins and minerals. Furthermore, the presence of heated fats hinders the absorption of other fat-soluble vitamins, leading to potential nutrient deficiencies. Harmful fats such as free oils and heated fats present risks to our health and well-being. It is crucial to avoid consuming oils that lack nutritional value and to be mindful of cooking practices involving subjecting fats to high temperatures. By prioritizing a diet rich in wholesome foods and minimizing the intake of harmful fats, we can promote our overall health and vitality. Now, we're gonna this was just a quick breakdown of all the fats that fall inside of this category. Now, what I wanna do is dive into a little bit more of the science of oils. That way you can understand how this process works, how it affects your body on a more cellular level. And the best way to start is by understanding what oils are. And I'm going to begin with olive oil because that's one oil that most everyone uses, is familiar with. So I'm going to use this as my example as I break it down. That way you can get how this process of preparing these oils happens and how and why it has a negative impact on the body. And also I'll make sure I give you guys the sources so you could double check this information for yourself. And that way you could get deeper into the subject matter. So when you look at a bottle of olive oil, no matter where it's from, how expensive it is, how cheap it is, doesn't matter. They all fall under the same category. When you look at a bottle of olive oil, they basically start off with one regular olive. Take an olive, they have to basically extract everything. They have to extract the fat from the olive to create the actual oil. And during this process of extraction, they're taking out everything from the olive that essentially makes it a whole food. So you take this olive and you're taking out the fiber, you're taking out the water, you're taking out a lot of the vitamins and minerals, a lot of enzymes, all of those things that are beneficial for your overall health. And they're basically taking that part out, throwing it away, and leaving you with the isolated compound, which is just all the pure fat. And this oil is just a pure form of fat that has a negative impact on your body when you're consuming it. Now, one thing about these oils is this. It does have some beneficial compounds to it. It has like all these phytonutrients and plant chemicals that are beneficial to the body in many different ways. But we have to understand that once you start separating things from the actual whole food, it no longer functions in the same manner as it would if you were just to eat the whole olive. And when you isolate a compound from any particular food and you just consume that, at best inside of the body, it's going to work like a medicine. At worst, it's going to be highly toxic. And that's what many people are experiencing as they're consuming a lot of these foods. And this is not just a small window where you're experiencing it immediately, but it's the long-term effect of consuming these things that's really causing a lot of the damage that's contributed to a lot of these cardiovascular issues. So when you take the olive, you extract the fiber, the water, the vitamins, the minerals, the enzymes, and you're left with this pure form of fat. It has that effect. It's going to act like a medicine for some, and then for most, it's acting like the chemical compound that it is. You can liken this to the same way as creating sugar. You take a sugar cane, you strip it of everything that it has, they cook it, they heat it, they break it down, and they isolate the sugar itself, and they pretty much do all a few other things and create the dry white powdered sugar, the white sugar of the white crystallized sugar itself. And it's the same thing. You're taking everything away and you're left with this isolated compound. Sugar, same way. Oil, same thing. And you liken this to just like any type of drug. You take the cocoa leaf when you're making cocaine and you extract that particular compound, and it has the same negative type effects in the body. Whereas if you were eating the whole food or the whole item itself, it will not respond the same way. So now, when you look back at that olive oil, it's a pure form of fat. And the number one reason why I recommend that you remove it from the diet is the effect that it has on what's called your endothelial cells, your endothelium system. So your endothelium system is the protector of your cardiovascular system. So your cardiovascular system runs all throughout your body. Your the endothelium cells, they line the innermost lining of your blood vessels and they protect the cardiovascular system. Now these cells have three main jobs. The first job is that they're supposed to stay nice and tight together to make sure that everything that's flowing through to make sure that the blood flowing through the blood vessels are nice and smooth. They stay together, keep everything smooth. The second job, they're supposed to dilate. They're supposed to produce nitric oxide to help the blood vessels dilate to make for a smoother blood flow. And number three, with them staying together, they're supposed to prevent things from entering into the body through the blood vessels. So they stay close together so nothing can squeeze into the body and cause any damage. Now what happens is when you consume olive oil or any type of oil like that, it damages these cells. And this is what's called the postprandial effect of oil. As soon as you consume it, whether it's oil inside of a cookie, oil inside of oil for stir frying vegetables, oil inside of bread, oil wherever, whenever you consume it in any type of form, it causes your blood vessels to constrict. And when your blood vessels constrict, this causes those cells that's supposed to be tight and lined up together to start to rub up against each other. And over time, as they rub up against each other, they start to move out of place and get damaged, and they start to break down. And now this causes a domino effect of things to happen because they can no longer work as efficiently as they need to. When they start constricting and rubbing up against each other, this leaves gaps in between them. And now things can enter into the gaps in between them, such as cholesterol and plaque. All that buildup can start happening, which has an impact on your blood pressure. Not to mention, when they're rubbing up against each other, they start to get damaged as well. And now they can't produce the nitric oxide to help the blood vessels dilate for a smoother blood flow. And on top of that, as they continue to rub, now it's not as smooth of a blood flow as it needs to be, and this can continue to increase blood pressure issues. So the impact that oils has on your endothelial cells is very critical when it comes down to correcting your blood pressure issues, because your endothelium system controls the vasodilation and the widening and the closing of your arteries and of your blood vessels. And if you're consuming the foods that are consistently damaging these cells, you're not going to be able to get to the root cause of your problem. And oil is one of those things that I found that if you remove them out of your diet, not only does it remove an excessive amount of fats and calories from your diet, but it also allows for you to get those endothelial cells back in shape, because now you remove this thing that's causing the problem. These cells are now able to rejuvenate themselves, start back producing more nitric oxide, get back in place, and start doing the things that they need to do. And in turn, you can start seeing improvements when it comes down to your blood pressure. So oils is one of those things that's really important to understand and remove from your diet. I'll make sure that you also get just the literature behind it, because, most people hear the term heart healthy oils and we think, this is something that's good for us in this type of way. And we have to understand where the term heart healthy oils come from. Heart healthy oils isn't a medical term or a scientific term. This is a term that was made by an industry, a food industry. And basically, to sum it all up, they had this byproduct left over from these different plant products, and they did studies on it, and they saw that, okay, you could break down the olive and turn it into this oil or this fat, and it has these phytonutrients and other compounds in it that's beneficial for the heart, which it does. It has some benefits that can help when it comes down to your heart. But what happens is these short-term studies shows just one side of it. But when you look at the long-term results of what's happening during this process, you can see the trend of what's going on in your overall health. For instance, heart disease. Heart disease is the #1 killer in America, and this is heart disease. And if it's a heart healthy oil, you would think that as much oils and things that people consume, that this shouldn't be as high on the list as it is. And this spins everything back to another study that I want to bring about, is about the Mediterranean diet. Many of us have heard about the Mediterranean diet in many different ways. Mediterranean diet, the types of foods that they're consuming over there, and the Mediterranean diet has been explained to be a heart healthy diet. And one staple of the Mediterranean diet is that they consume tons of olive oil, tons of it. They put olive oil on everything, salads, bread, blah, blah, blah. Everything is olive oil. So when the doctors and the scientists went to break down the Mediterranean diet to understand the heart healthy components of it, they did different studies to basically line things up to see what was going on. And one thing about the Mediterranean diet, a couple things about the Mediterranean diet is this: they do not consume an abundance of animal-based products. So that's one thing. That's one of the biggest things. They do not consume an abundance of animal-based products. They do not consume high amounts of processed foods, and they consume more whole foods. And in the studies, as they were looking at all these different things and seeing how people were responding when it came down to their weight, the heart disease, and all the other chronic issues, these people just wasn't getting sick in these different ways. And basically what the doctors and the industry was doing was like, hey, this oil is the heart healthy component of it. The oil is what's helping keeping these people alive, giving them this longevity, preventing the heart disease, and doing all these wonderful, miraculous things. The food industry saw these studies, heart healthy oils, and this is how all that started to continue to manifest. But in actuality, what was actually going on was their dietary practices as a whole was very important. The elimination of processed foods was very big. They didn't eat the McDonald's. They didn't have all the store-bought processed foods that we have here. They didn't have, they wasn't consuming all those different type of highly processed items. That was completely, those things were not inside of their diet. So that's one of the biggest factors. And number two, which I think is the biggest factor, is they reduced their consumption of animal-based products was very low. Even though they did consume fish, meat, eggs, and dairy and different things, their consumption was very low, where they wasn't eating these things day in and day out, 2 and 3 times a day like us. And this was one of the biggest contributors to the lesser amounts of heart disease and cardiovascular issues and things like that. But in these industries, they tied everything to a product. They tied it all to the oils that they would consume and labeled it heart healthy and slapped it on everything on the shelf and say, hey, this is heart healthy oils because of some small findings with these phytonutrients. But when you look at all the different studies that followed, it lays out how these oils directly contribute to the decline in vasodilation that's contributing to cardiovascular diseases. And the toughest part about this is that it doesn't just happen in like a day or two and then it gets bad. No, it happens over 5, 10, 20, 30 years of consistent abuse for this to blow up and turn into a really big issue. So understanding that removing oils from your diet will allow for you to close down another pathway and keep moving forward when it comes down to healing and getting a better control of your blood pressure. So oils, whether it's a cold pressed oil, olive oil, avocado oil, whatever type of oil, removing them from your diet is going to help you close down this pathway of destruction when it comes down to your endothelial cells and get better control. Now, one of the biggest questions is, Well, if you're not cooking with oil, like what do you cook with? How do you do this? How do you do that? And this is where having different tactics and strategies is going to help you. For those of us that have the 7-day plant-based introduction, it goes over cooking without oils. And I'm going to go into some of those things right now. That way we can better understand what this process looks like, because it may sound difficult because it's something that we just never been exposed to. But trust me, the process is very simple. I've been a chef for 12 plus years on a high level, opening up restaurants all around the country. And it's just a method of unlearning some things and doing it in a different way. So we're going to break down how to substitute these oils from your diet and keep moving forward. Okay, so to begin with, one thing that you have to remove is all fried foods. Frying foods is the worst method of cooking on the planet. And that's not just coming from me. That's coming from everyone. When you fry foods, frying foods causes damage on many different levels. So you have to eliminate fried foods. Now, some people might want to do air frying and things like that. Those are fine. I haven't seen any issues or any studies about air fryers that were negative or had any negative, I haven't seen anything negative about air fryers. I'm pretty sure somebody got something bad to say about them, but I haven't seen any that goes against anything that I've learned in the past 6 years. So eliminating fried foods is number one. It's not going to be frying anything, frying chicken, frying mushrooms, frying anything. You can't fry stuff. You want to air fry, that can be a better option, but no frying whatsoever. That's highly toxic in many different ways. Number two, when it comes down to, let's say you want to saute some vegetables, you got a non-stick pot and you want to saute some vegetables. Basically, the main method that you want to utilize is you want to make sure your pot is nice and hot before you start, and you want to begin on a medium high temperature. Anywhere between 6 and 7 is going to be ideal. Reason being, anything higher than 7, it's going to start causing your food to stick to your skillet. Even if you do have a quality non-stick, anything higher is going to start causing your food to stick. So cooking at a medium heat is going to allow for you to go low and slow and start to still be, and it's going to allow you to go low and slow and still be able to cook your food without it sticking or charring or burning in any type of way. Because the only reason oil is there, one, to keep it from sticking, but to also create what's called a Maillard effect. And a Maillard effect is basically where whenever you're cooking something, it starts to brown at the bottom and become crispy. Like, you know how we've all seen those beautiful pancakes with that crispy edge around the side of it, or even when you saute different type of items in oil, it gets that crispy bottom. So oil speeds up or expedites that crispiness or that Maillard effect. And that's something that has a very stimulating effect with most people, because one, the texture and the crunch and, you know, the savoriness and the fattiness or the oil that's come from these things, and people tend to enjoy that. But you can still create the effect without the oils by just allowing for your food to continue to cook the same way. Now, mind you, it won't be the same effect because, of course, the oils and the fats are not there, but you can still allow your food to get nice and crispy during this process. And now what happens is, while you're cooking, you're going to start to see how your pan dry out. And one thing that you can do to keep it from drying completely is by simply adding, let's say, a tablespoon of water to the pot, vegetable broth, apple cider vinegar, rice vinegar, whatever, depending on what flavors you're looking for, whatever you're trying to do. These different methods can allow for you to continue cooking without everything sticking. For myself, whenever I'm sauteing anything, I typically keep a bottle of water next to the stove. And as I'm continuing moving through, I add a little bit of water to it. Even if I'm making pancakes, I don't add any water to the pancakes, but I just make sure that I'm cooking on a slower temperature, and that way it's not sticking or breaking down to the bottom of the pan. So understanding that there's many different methods that you can utilize during this process to make sure that you eliminate the oils from your diet and continue to see results during this process, because that's the main goal. You want to be able to understand how this specific strategy is working for you. And that's why I also talk about documenting your journey, because if you're moving through this process, you're understanding that, okay, I remove oils from my diet and this is what I'm expecting from it. One, you're eliminating the calories and all this excess stuff that's coming over. And you see that, okay, during this process, during this week, you might have lost another 3 pounds or 4 pounds. The blood pressure is starting to continue to trend in the right direction. This is going to continue to motivate you to keep moving forward with these different tactics and strategies. And as you continue to be in alignment with this process, you will be able to dial in a lot deeper to better understand how to get to the root cause of your problem. Because now you're effectively pulling out a problematic item and you're allowing for the body to continue to heal itself through these different pathways. So my main thing is like, okay, if you applying this strategy, go in with it completely. Dive right into it. You're not missing anything by taking oils out of your diet. Some people may say, well, you're eliminating fats from your diet. No, if you want olive oil, eat the olives. You want avocado oils, eat avocados. You know, get it from the whole foods, because eating the whole foods is going to give you more benefits than trying to just eat the oil or the extract itself. So understanding, it's all about eating the whole foods, eating foods in their whole form. That way you can get the whole compound. You get the fiber, the water, the vitamins, the enzymes, all the other nutrients as a whole. And this allows for your body to properly assimilate it and do what it needs to do with it. Whereas if you're isolating different compounds, it becomes a different type of strategy, and it affects the body in many different ways. So oils is one of those things that should be pulled from the body, and it should be pulled from the diet, and just strategically going through this, making sure that you understand how to move through this process is going to be important. One of the biggest places where most oils are found is in processed foods. When it comes down to processed foods, this goes for all processed foods. I've even seen oil inside of almond milk, oils inside of canned vegetables, canned beans, other type of packaged foods. Oils are all stabilizers. They put oils in these things, one, to keep them stable on the shelf, two, to actually make them taste a certain way. And none of these things have your health in mind. So we have to understand, when it comes down to these different foods, we got to be able to identify them and start removing them from our diet the best way that we can, to give ourselves the best chance through this pathway of getting to the root cause of our problem. And it's not as hard as it may seem. It just really just takes the understanding of, if it has oil in it, put it down and find a different substitution. And usually a lot of those substitutions are typically top shelf items that are there, because it's a whole industry of people that do not consume oil. We might think that, oh, not consuming oil is crazy. Like, I've been doing it for the last 30, 40, 50 years of my life. It's a whole world of people that don't touch oil whatsoever. Think about oil like this, and I'm gonna keep moving on right after this. Think about oil like this. You could take a bottle of oil, sit it on your counter, and it'll never go bad. It won't nothing happen to it, won't nothing get inside of it, no bacteria growth, no mold, it'll never change. You can sit it on the counter, it'll never change. You could use it today, or you could use it 2 years from now. It'll still be the same. Reason being, bacteria and everything knows that this is not something that they want to have. It's nothing living inside of it. It's all been modified and broken down, and there's no life force inside of this item. Bacteria don't touch oil in no type of way because of how it's highly processed. So understanding, if any organism won't touch it, why should you touch it? And this lets you know that the negative impact that it has on them is really detrimental to their system. Remember, this bacteria won't touch this oil, so you shouldn't touch this oil. And inside of you, your body is made up of trillions, if not double that, of bacteria in your microbiome, on your skin, all over you. So when you consume these items, this has a negative impact on them, which can have a negative impact on your overall health. So we have to understand that it's bigger than just not consuming it for X, Y, Z type of reason, but your overall health is at stake when it comes down to a lot of these different things. But making the necessary adjustments is going to help guide you through this whole process and understand how it's contributing to your problem. Now, one thing that I like to always go back into is this: when you're making these dietary adjustments, you're not going to always be perfect. So don't beat yourself up because you might have had something with oil in it, or you were cooking something and it just didn't work out and you had to put a little oil. I get it. It happens. It takes a little, you might have to take a step back before you start moving forward. But the main thing is try to be as consistent as possible. Be as observative as possible. You want to make sure that you're looking at what you're consuming. That way you can understand, what's happening with your food, your dietary choices, and how they can be contributing to the issues that you're dealing with. So don't expect to be perfect right out the gate, but as you're moving forward, be more conscious, because every step you take forward is going to help you get better. And then as you start to get better control of your blood pressure and start understanding how these things work, and you get to your end goal, which is to, one, get off the pharmaceutical medications completely. Now you have more understanding and more control of what's going on. And then by all means, if you decide to, let's say your daughter's having a birthday party and it's a slice of cake there, you want to have some cake or whatever, you can make a conscious decision of, okay, I'm going to do this because I have control of my health. I'm not dealing with this blood sugar issue, blood pressure issue, or what have you. I'm in better control. I have better understanding. And now you can make dietary choices that won't compromise your overall health. But until you get better control of your blood pressure, your overall health, you should omit these things completely and continue to work towards getting to the root cause of the problem. That should be the main goal. Your main focus is, I'm going to eliminate all these potentially toxic foods from my diet and get to the end goal of getting off these medications, and then improve my overall health and keep moving forward. And I use myself as an example because I don't cook with oil. I haven't consumed oil in I don't know how long. It's just not a part of my diet, and no oil is in my house. It's not through my process. And once I learned how to maneuver without it, it just was a no-brainer. I don't pick it up for anything whatsoever. And just understanding that once you get a grasp of it, it becomes really simple to move forward without it. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them inside of the chat. And I'm going to keep moving through the ebook. And I think this is the last, we're going to round off this chapter right here. So, and forgive me if I read some of the same things I was just talking about, but I kind of just rumble on sometimes. So let's further discuss the impact of oil on blood pressure. This includes all type of oils such as coconut oil, olive oil, vegetable oils, oils used in pastas, and even other different items. The only exceptions are fish oil, black seed oil, other medicinal oils, since they serve different purposes. And I'm glad I just read this. So when you look at fish oil and black seed oils, these are medicinal style oils. You don't necessarily cook with these oils. So most people consume like fish oil for their omega-3s and things like that, which I haven't seen anything bad with that. But one thing about it is you don't cook with them or put them on top of your salad and consume large amounts of these. And these are used for medicinal purposes. As you can see, people that consume these, they're not consuming it for its nutritional value. They're consuming it for the medicinal purposes. So these oils are not included inside of any of these studies that I've seen, or in the different challenges that we're doing. So if you're consuming fish oil, you don't have to worry about these oils having that same negative impact on your overall health, because there are no studies that show that these medicinal style oils damage the endothelial cells and have that negative impact. So fish oils, black seed oils, those all fall in the category of where they don't align with all the other things that we just spoke about. So here we go. We often hear the term heart healthy oils, but it's essential to understand its limitations, especially for long-term heart health. When you consume oils, whether it's used in cooking or present as a solid ingredient in the product, it immediately affects your endothelial system. Oils lead to immediate vasoconstriction, causing your blood vessels to narrow. This constriction damages the endothelial cells responsible for producing nitric oxide, which is essential for dilating the blood vessels. Continued oil consumption further impairs these cells, reducing nitric oxide production and resulting in hardening of the blood vessels. So we have to understand this is a continuous process that happens as you're consuming oils and just going through your day-to-day lifestyle with these products in your system. This breaks down those endothelial cells and causes this problem. And this one thing I just read that's really important is nitric oxide, the production of nitric oxide. This particular molecule is one of the most important molecules when it comes down to regulating your blood pressure, because nitric oxide just allows for the relaxation of your blood vessels, and this just helps the blood flow through smoothly. Like for instance, I'm drinking pomegranate juice. Pomegranates are high in different antioxidants and nitric oxide as well. I love a glass of pomegranate juice because it just helps when it comes down to just your overall health. This is a great drink to have for your blood pressure. I have pomegranate juice. I have fresh pomegranates. I have other fruits that are in season that are high in these antioxidants, these different vitamins and minerals that help boost nitric oxide production. So when you're consuming oils, this shuts down the production of your nitric oxide. And when that nitric oxide isn't there, those blood vessels can't dilate. And when they can't dilate, the heart has to pump harder to pump the blood through those stiffened arteries. And this just continues to influence the blood pressure in a negative way. So vasodilation is a very important part, and oils contribute to this vasoconstriction that stops this whole process. So removing them is something that's really, really important. Continued oil consumption further impairs these cells, reducing nitric oxide production and resulting in hardening blood vessels. Consequently, when the endothelial cells are damaged, they struggle to maintain their integrity, allowing substances to penetrate the blood vessel linings. The damage obstructs blood flow, contributing to high blood pressure. Eliminating oil consumption allows the endothelial cells to rejuvenate, restoring nitric oxide production, dilating blood vessels, and easing the workload of the heart. So additionally, it's worth noting that the detrimental effects of endothelial cell function extends beyond the sugar consumption. Here we go. And this goes into some of the research information that I'm going to send to you guys as well. Research by Dr. R.A. Vogel and others have shed light on the postprandial effects of oil consumption. And that's where the most important part is, the postprandial effects of the oil. So research by Dr. Vogel and others shed the light on the postprandial effects of oil consumption. After a high-fat meal, particularly one that's rich in oils, there's a temporary impairment of the endothelial function, known as endothelial dysfunction. This occurs due to the increase in circulating fats, specifically triglycerides, which can lead to oxidative stress and inflammation. So, to tie this all in, to wrap up the oils is one of those things that has a domino effect through many different pathways. Now, when it comes down to your cholesterol, you should understand this, especially if you're dealing with any cholesterol issues. This should be something this is something that ties into this as well. When you have elevated cholesterol levels, you have to understand where the excess is coming in from, because your body naturally creates cholesterol, and it's going to produce what it needs at whatever particular time to continue to keep you functioning at a high level. Cholesterol lines your intestine, it lines your brain, it lines every cell. Cholesterol is highly important. So it's important to understand where the outside sources of cholesterol are coming from. Now, there's no cholesterol found inside of plant foods or whole foods. Whole foods have no cholesterol. So if you want to find out where your outside cholesterol is coming from, it's coming from all animal-based products and processed foods. Those animal-based products and processed foods is giving you all the outside cholesterol that's contributing and compounding, that's elevating your cholesterol levels, that's also contributing to your blood pressure issues. So understanding that if you need to bring your cholesterol down as well, you have to look at where the extras is coming from. The animal-based products, the processed foods, the oils, all of those are contributing. The oils increase your triglyceride levels. It causes your LDL to go up. It causes a number of things to occur. So when you start pulling these out of the diet as well, you're going to start to see those numbers continue to come down. And that's going to be just like a domino effect of positives that's happening by simply removing this one negative item from the diet. Removing the animal-based products, eliminating the oils as well, you're going to be able to see how this has an impact on your overall health And this is where you just continue to listen to your body as you're making the necessary adjustment. Because again, it's not about what I'm saying or what the medical studies is saying. It's all about putting your best foot forward with this strategy, applying it to your lifestyle, and seeing how your body responds. Because ultimately your body's going to be the best dictator of, is this something that works for you or that's good for you. And I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10, when you go through this process, you are going to see positive results when it comes down to your blood pressure, your weight levels, your cholesterol levels, all these different metabolic factors start to improve, and this improves your overall health. And when you improve your overall health, these blood pressure issues just seemingly just disappear. So that's what the ultimate goal of these strategies are, to just improve your overall health and keep moving in the right direction. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer any questions at the moment. If you have anything, drop it inside of the chat, and we're gonna go ahead and wrap up tonight's session. So I'm gonna scroll down and keep everything moving. Here we go. Okay, so what do we recommend to take place? What do we recommend in place of the oils to cook? And again, we'll go back over it again. You could use water, vegetable broth. If you're using vegetable broth, low sodium, no sodium vegetable broth is going to be the best options. Let's say if you're making a stir fry, you might want to use some white wine vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is something that can help as well. It all depends on what you're potentially making. Water tends to be the best one. It's nothing extra, just simply using a couple tablespoons in it and going from there. Matter of fact, let me grab one item out my kitchen for you guys. So I grabbed my water bottle right here, and basically I have it's like a regular wine bottle. A regular oil bottle. And I just have the same spigot on top of it. And this is empty because I just got to cooking earlier. But basically, put your water or your broth inside of the bottle just like this. And you just want to just pour it right up. You want to pour it right on top just like that. And it's going to allow for the steam to release the food from the bottom of the pan. And that's going to allow for you to continue through the cooking process and not have to use any oils. Same thing when it comes down to baking. When it comes down to baking, you can add a little bit of water to the pan throughout the process, or you can get one of those baking mats. Forgot what they're made of, but they got the baking mats, and those baking mats are non-stick. So anything that you're putting on these different mats, it's going to be able to slide back and forth without sticking to the actual tray. Like, some people put aluminum foil or parchment paper or whatever on, or just use the plain tray, but using the silicone baking sheets, it keeps anything from sticking. That way, if you're roasting something, it just doesn't stick to this whole process. So baking, the silicone mats and the tools that you're using, a little bit of water works out just fine. Sauteing, water, vegetable broth, any type of vinegars and things like that, all work out in your favor as well. It's just more so about understanding the strategy, not pouring too much on it to make your food soggy, but adding enough to allow for the steam to release your food from the pan without altering the flavor or the taste of it. So really simple stuff that can help you through this journey. What's my favorite thing to make? I'm always cooking, man, to be honest. I don't really have any preferences. But if I had to guess, anything that takes one pot is always fun, because you just put it all in a pot and you go about your business and come back in 25 minutes is all ready. So I'm a one pot type of person most of the time, because I'm always running around doing a bunch of things. But that'll probably be my my best options. I use coconut oil in place of mouthwash. I do not swallow the oil. Now, coconut oil is fine when it comes down to like oil pulling. It's more so about the consumption of it that has the negative impact. So if you're not consuming it, it won't be any problem in that particular area. So oil pulling, those are all good. And then, some people use oil on their skin as well. Those are fine also, because the body has different elimination channels where that oil doesn't get into the bloodstream. So, it's not going to be a negative impact when it comes down to those different things. And so oil pulling, all those fall right into the category. The main thing is you don't want to be eating anything with oil, cooking things in oil, frying things. Those where all the negative impacts come from. And that's what you want to avoid. And as you continue through that process, you are going to be able to see a better direction that you need to go in when it comes down to your overall health. And that's what's the most important part. Giving the strategy a try, seeing your way through it, and listening to your body language, because your body's going to talk to you every time you do something different. And for most people, we're not taught to listen to our bodies. We kind of ignore some of those things. But during these challenges, you're actively putting forth a strategy, and you want to understand how your body feels during this process. And again, most people start to lose weight because oils are nothing but excess calories. A tablespoon of olive oil is what, 200-300 calories, and most people use way more than a tablespoon. So you're getting rid of these excess calories in this different way, and you're gonna see the improvements in your weight. You're gonna see improvements in your blood pressure. A lot of different areas. So it's all about closing off these different pathways that are toxifying our bodies and allowing for our body to rejuvenate, recover, and heal. And this will allow for you to continue to get to the root cause of the problem. And this is why we're compounding these different strategies week in and week out. So now we build this great foundation that's going to guide us towards the root cause of our blood pressure issues. We started with the 7-day fruit and salad challenge. We should be doing those same strategies still as we continue to move forward. And as we're moving forward with the fruit and salad strategies, now you're adding the pressure purge strategies. And now you're creating that momentum that's going to help you get to the root cause of the problem, because you don't fix these issues in one day. You don't just stop eating oil and your blood pressure gets better. It doesn't necessarily work like that. It's different pathways that contribute to the problem. And that's why for a lot of people, blood pressure issues can be really tricky. Some people can stop eating processed foods and fix their blood pressure. Some people lose 100 pounds and still have high blood pressure. There's a number of things that are happening. So basically making the dietary adjustments are going to allow for you to correct those issues and understand where your problems lie. And that's how you really solve the blood pressure issue. You got to be willing to get deep into it. So with that being said, I guess we can wrap up tonight's session. We're not going to be here tomorrow. Friday's all yours, so is Saturday and Sunday. But we will be back on Monday to continue diving through the ebook and breaking things down. So we're going to continue through the Pressure Purge Challenge Monday at 7:30. You guys also have the ebooks. I sent out the Ooh Baby I Like It Raw ebooks, as well as the Damn Good Vegan recipe book to everyone as well. That way you can continue to have recipes, continue to apply these different tactics and strategies, and have the resources that you need to just continue to get better. Take these tools, dive into it, and give things a try. You won't get to the root cause of your issues if you're not trying to understand what the problem is. I'm giving you all the strategies, giving you the solutions, all the different options. You have a whole board full of things that you can do to figure out what the problem is. That's the best I can do. The best you can do is simply apply these strategies and figure out what's working for you and continue to move forward. So with that being said, blessings to everyone. I'll see you guys Monday at 7:30, and look for any emails over the weekend. That way we can continue to move forward and keep everything going. So blessings everybody. See you next time.